5 things. It would help if I had the microphone over, wouldn't it? Hello. I basically want to talk about 5 things I've learned in the 3 years I've been a professional embedded software engineer. Yeah, so let's get into it. Number 5 on the list, test-driven development is a lifesaver. What is test-driven development before we get into why it's a lifesaver and a time saver? Test-driven development is basically a design philosophy, let's say. I'm not really sure how you would describe it, but other than a design philosophy, and it's basically the idea that instead of sitting down and just writing code and hoping it all works, the idea behind test-driven development is that you write your test cases of what you expect or want to happen, and in theory those tests should fail, and then you go and write the code, and then once you write the code, pass the test, in theory that is the test-driven development method. The reason it's a lifesaver is because that whenever you develop code in the test-driven development format, you're testing edge cases and things that you wouldn't really expect to happen when you're developing the code. And then when you're doing that, in theory you're catching bugs before they are released basically into the wild. That's why test-driven development is a lifesaver. And I had never came across it before until I started my job that I am in now. So number 4 on the list is a breadboard isn't just a learning tool. So whenever I was studying, I basically did a degree and sort of understudies in electronic engineering. And throughout that, and just in home in general, just messing about with circuits, I would have built them with breadboards. And I basically thought breadboards was just a tool you gave children to get them interested into electronics. But the thing about it is, I realized that whenever you're an embedded software engineer and you're setting up new projects and things like that, and you have new hardware to test, sometimes the hardware from the hardware team isn't ready to be tested on or coded on yet. So the way to get around that is hooking a microcontroller up to a breadboard and basically coding it and testing it using the breadboard practically. And that's how getting your hardware connections and all so that everything's hooked up so you can write code and develop code while you're possibly waiting on the hardware. So that was kind of surprising to me that a breadboard isn't just a learning tool. So breadboards are really cheap, and you can build like the most basic circuits with them, and you can build pretty complex circuits with them. And it was just really cool to see that it wasn't wasted spare time building circuits and just basically pissing about. So they're used in the real working world as well. So number 3 is that Linux is superior for development. This isn't probably a shock to many people, and it wasn't really a shock to me, but it became more abundantly clear how much better Linux is for development work, because basically all the tools that are made for development and navigating and running tests and things like that is all so much faster, like severely faster. So we would have ran test cases and things like that on Windows, and it maybe would have taken 10 seconds for some cases. It also depended on what your computer was doing, but roughly around 10 seconds. And when we moved to Linux and ran the same test cases, it could have taken 1 to 2 seconds. So there, just in that sort of switch alone, you save from 5 times up to 10 times the time. Then you have the other aspects, so that like the likes of Python and things like that already comes pre-installed. GCC already comes pre-installed on Linux, and all the open source tools and things like that, like GDB for example, which is a Linux debugger, is all really handy to install and quick to install and quick and easy to get up and running. So it was just surprising to me basically, because I had been so used to Windows and I had messed about with Linux in my spare time, but that was basically me getting familiar with the operating system and seeing the differences between it and Windows. So it's not until you get into the nitty-gritty of developing that you see the benefits from switching from Windows to Linux. So number 2 on the list, I'm not solely an embedded software engineer. So this is kind of tongue-in-cheek, but basically whenever in my role anyway, and it's maybe because we're technically a smaller company, and when you get into larger companies this probably isn't as prevalent, but in the smaller companies you can do a myriad of different things. So this year I got introduced to DevOps and things like that, so managing machines and servers and things like that. which I had never done before, and that was a big learning curve. And also basically different scripting languages and things like that work with that aren't just solely embedded devices or embedded device languages. So the likes of Python, Ruby on Rails, Bash scripts, yeah, loads of different scripting languages. So it's not just the likes of C for embedded devices that you program in. So not so much a shock, but almost a reality check, I want to say, but not in a negative way. And then number 1 on the list, work doesn't stop when the laptop closes. The learning doesn't stop, and you are continually trialed and tested by your employer. But so my employer is really good in the sense that they'll give you tasks, but it's not tasks that it's maybe tasks that stretch you, but it's not to the point of breaking. Yeah, it's not to the point of where you're broken down practically. And also, when work finishes for the day, you know, your head doesn't stop thinking. You know, there could be problems and bugs and things like that you haven't fixed, and it's not until you're in, like, out for a run or out for a walk or in the shower or things like that, or maybe sitting on the toilet thinking of completely random things, and then the solution for a bug will pop into your head. And it's not until like things like that happen that sometimes bugs get fixed. And yeah, so the learning never stops, and the work doesn't really officially stop when you close the laptop. And in theory, sometimes it doesn't even stop when you're sleeping, because even then I've had instances where you wake up thinking of a problem, and it's kind of hard to describe unless you've maybe had that as well. So it kind of makes me sound a bit fucking mental, but at the same time, someone will know what I'm on about. So yeah, the learning doesn't stop. What the title should be fuck's sake. What the title should be is that you constantly learn. That was kind of the point in the first time. I don't know what I'm saying. I just talk shit in front of a camera. And yeah, if you liked that, give it a thumbs up. If you thought it was shit, give it a thumbs down. If you're not really sure, possibly subscribe. Yeah, and with all that being said, I'm gonna leave and contemplate my life choices and decisions and things like that. So yeah, all right, bye.